Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Africa. Good morning to you, the rest of the world. It's the 25th day of June 2021, and it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. And it's the conversation showing on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. My name is Merciful Ajinamo.
And I am Sagir Ibrahim. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Good morning, Sagir.
Good morning, Merciful.
How are you doing?
Very well. I see you are doing it.
What is your favorite day of the week?
Has to be a Saturday.
Why is that? Because there's no working Saturday work.
Exactly. There's no work on Saturday.
How you doing?
It has to be. I'm doing very well.
I like the blend. You're looking all Monday to Thursday-ish, and I'm looking Friday-ish.
You're looking weekend-ish.
So it's a balance, yeah?
Exactly.
All right, we move straight into development across Africa. But before we do so, here's the quote of the day.
Always remember,
This man I have been creative design. We really like it, but
you deserve a break. You can indulge in a cup of 3-in-1 Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Indulge. Now available in the 450 grams pouch.
Now let's dive into some development across Africa, and we begin with Ivory Coast, where the former Ivorian Prime Minister Guillaume Soro has rejected a life imprisonment verdict an Ivorian criminal court pronounced on Wednesday for plotting a coup against his former ally, President Alassane Ouattara. He said in a statement on Twitter, "I totally reject these unfair verdicts which have been handed down in violation of all the rules of law and which are solely based on political reasons."
Well, first off, I would say this is not the first sentence that has been handed down on him.
The first, I think, was on exile or something.
Yeah, he was sentenced for 20 years once for allegations bordering on corruption, and then now we are seeing him being sentenced to life imprisonment. I think the thing about it is he's not even in the country and you're sentencing him to life. So how does that work?
There's so many stories surrounding it, but like I said the other time on this show, I said when the judiciary system is right in a country, every other thing is right. We can't keep saying the back and forth. We can't really balance. How can someone come and challenge a sentence, and how can you give a sentence after some sort? You know, there's so much story and so much controversy that this has caused around the internet.
The question is, what happens next? Will they seek for extradition of the said Soro back to Ivory Coast to serve his sentence? I don't understand how it works, because I don't see the reason why someone would be sentenced to life imprisonment in a country where he's not even staying in the first place. I mean, and then he was sentenced because he plotted a coup against the same Alassane Ouattara, who was also docked in court for an alleged genocide which led to the death of over 3,000 people.
Yeah.
So if you look at all of this, you see democracy is dirty.
Really do hope that Africa gets the democracy system right.
Exactly. Okay, moving forward to insurgency. South Africa countries on Wednesday have approved the deployment of troops in support of Mozambique to combat terrorism and acts of violence extremism in Cabo Delgado. The leaders of Botswana, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Eswatini, Malawi, Mozambique, South Africa, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe attended the one-day summit talks in Maputo. Since breaking out in late 2017, violence has escalated in the gas-rich north of Mozambique, and there are fears it could spill over into neighboring countries.
I say anything that has to do with the protection of lives and property is of importance, is priority for me. So anything, any plan, any development that brings about coming to solve, to put an end to violence, because violence is not always the answer. We have innocent people who are dying on a daily basis. So if they bring in forces to curb violence, it's a welcome development for me.
Yeah, I feel all of this happen, especially in countries or regions where they have very rich mineral resources. I mean, we see the same going on in Libya. We see the same going on, you know, in other parts of Africa, including Nigeria. You know, there were rumors then, confirmed reports, as a matter of fact, that in even Zamfara State, for example,
We have
they
some
said
mineral resources.
exactly, and these mineral resources, because of access to these mineral resources,
And people fighting for territories and everything.
and in those areas, you know, you always see a breakdown of law and order, and you see innocent
about
people
violence.
being affected directly because of the violence that come as a result of a few people who just want to lay their hands on those mineral resources any means possible. So, well, this is a good move by the Southern African countries. I mean, coming together to, you know, say, let's get this thing done. Let's mop it up once and for all to ensure that the lives as well as the properties of citizens who stay in those areas are secured.
Are safe and secure.
Exactly.
True. All right, we move over from Mozambique into Libya. After the meeting of the World Power on Wednesday in Berlin, Libya's foreign minister has said progress has been made on the removal of foreign fighters from the country, although a final communique from the UN-backed conference specified no concrete new measures since the 2011 NATO-backed uprising against the then head of state Muammar Gaddafi. Libya has had little stability. But a UN-led peace protest brought a ceasefire in October last year. The talk with international leaders in Berlin also aims at securing a December election.
You see, this is what I'm talking about. We just spoke about Libya just now, you know, and you read the story about Libya.
Yes.
The country has been in turmoil since the ouster of Muammar Gaddafi, who was even killed, you know, died as a result of that process. Now, the country has been in a serious political crisis after he left office. Why? It's simple. These people are looking for territories, you know, to dominate, to conquer, to have control over the resources in these territories, and they're not going to give it up for any reasons necessary. So as long as they remain in control and as long as they have tasted, you know, from the richness of these territories, they're not going to give it up, whether the government wants it or not.
And that is very selfish.
Exactly.
That's very selfish when we see people who are fighting for their own interest alone. These people have the potential to become leaders, or already are leaders of some communities, you know, some political parties, and they want to just keep amassing wealth to themselves, anything they can do for themselves, and that's a very bad mentality. And I think Africans, you know, we as a continent, we get to that level where we begin to think of a humanitarian approach to everything. How do you feel? Does my person, my friend, my family, how do they feel when I do some actions, when I carry out some actions? Yeah,
you know, and this goes to prove that despite the fact that they will call Gaddafi a dictator, it shows that all of these little pockets of, you know, separatist groups who have been trying to claim rights or have been trying to dominate these areas have been under serious check by him.
And they were dry.
Exactly. So all of these issues started after the ouster. Okay, moving over away from insurgency to food security. To boost food security, productivity, nutrition and resilience of small-scale farmers faced with climate change, South Sudan and the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, on Wednesday signed a $19.9 million project. The financing agreement was signed virtually by Gilbert F. Humbo, IFAD president, the Ethiopian Ding Ethiopian South Sudan Minister for Finance and Planning, to implement IFAD, an international financial institution and a specialized United Nations agency based in Rome. Italy will be providing a $1.9 million loan, a $7.9 million grant, and $4 million IFAD climate finance. I think the thing here is, since its separation from Sudan, South Sudan has been facing a serious food crisis, and you know, experts have even projected in the past that if with what is going on, you know, the country might be thrown into famine. So they need all of the help they can get, as a matter of fact. And you know, to see the nation signing such projects, you know, to bridge the shortage of food in the region, it goes a long way, you know, to give one hope that at least with what's going on there, you know, the situation gets better.
Yeah, you see in South Sudan, poverty usually is high in the rural areas. It was even said that 80% of the population live below the poverty line. So with all of these grants, these funds, these resources, they can start to put an end to all of these poverty issues.
Yeah.
Farmers can now start to, cultivate in large amounts, large quantities, and it can bring an end to all of this poverty issues.
Yeah, and to add to that, we know sometimes it might not be as a result of human factors. Sometimes it could be natural factors. Sometimes this land experience drought for countless number of years where there's no rainfall. The soil becomes really hard, so they can't even cultivate even when they want to do so. So with grants and with initiatives like this, it really helps to douse such tension and give hope for the possibility of some certain levels of food security, while other members of the international community come and lend their own assistance.
Too, and it also gives room for everybody, including individuals, to support all of these things. All right, that's the much you can take on the developments across Africa. Talking about Africa, let's go on a short break and bring you COVID-19 update from across Africa.
North to South Africa, East to West Africa, TOS TV Network is your digital-first Pan-African news network, bringing you news from across the continent. Visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Watch us on television, channel 138 on TSTV Africa.
Welcome back. It's still the conversation on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television, and you could be a part of the conversation by sharing your thoughts and comments on our various social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TOS TV Network. You could also, watch us live at www.tostvnetwork.com and read some of our content on our website, or as well watch us on YouTube to catch on some of our other programs at TOS TV Network. Do remember to like and subscribe. It is the newspaper segment of the conversation, and we'll start straight with business this morning, and that's with the business news newspaper, the Business Day newspaper, I beg your pardon, with the banner headline there saying MTN Nigeria eyes 2 million retail investors ahead, 48% share scale. Beside that, we see why luxury real estate still finds buyers amid economic downturn. Underneath that headline there, we see inside Soludo in the footstep of technocrats turned politician. You could find that story on page 30 of the Business Day newspaper of today. You could catch some other stories of the Business Day newspaper by simply grabbing a copy of the newspaper and getting a read.
I will move over to the Blueprint newspaper from the very top. Dangote Group plans Cameroon oil gas push. That can be found on page 23 of the Blueprint newspaper. The gaping headline there, the very conspicuous headline, Kenyamo on public works, paying 774,000 participants may not be feasible. Two riders, the first 413,630 beneficiaries get 24.8 billion naira allowance. And the second says program will reflate economy bottom up, and that can be found on page 6. We have a couple of other stories there. The one under the picture of the day talking about insecurity. Irabo Pali's retired senior officers on way out. You can grab all of this on the Blueprint newspaper.
Yeah, moving over to the Daily Trust newspaper of today, we'll start from the very top. 3 months after, Buhari returns to UK for medical appointment. For the banner headline, 2023, APC in fresh dilemma over zoning convention. You could also see, a couple of pictures there representing the picture of the day, and you could as well get a read of other stories on the Daily Trust newspaper of this morning, by getting the paper.
We move on to the last newspaper for this morning. That's the Nigerian News Direct newspaper. The gaping headline there says, corruption war, Nigeria recovers $700 million assets in 6 years. And that's coming from Professor Owasanoye, and he is urging African government to prioritize asset recovery. We can get all of that on page 22. And just beside the picture of the day there, why Lagos lawmakers approved Sanwo-Olu's 85 billion naira bond request. We can get that on page 21 of the Nigerian News Direct newspaper. And all of these stories can be found on the Nigerian News Direct newspaper for the 24th of June, that's Thursday.
Okay, we'll take a quick break now, for that's the end of the newspaper segment of the conversation this morning. Coming up next is the big story. Don't go anywhere.
You won't go shake your body. Instead, they make it calm down. Eat a farm, say it's happy. You want to grow 6 packs in a day. I beg you not to pass your power. You want to show yourself, oh.
Whatever your size, find it with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now to get the plan that suits you. Airtel, the smartphone.
At the first sign of pain, you need a solution that you can trust to provide effective relief and is gentle on the stomach. Try Panadol Caplets for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Caplets. This has been Medifact for Panadol.
It is still the conversation on your digital first Pan-African News Network, TOS Television. And like always, you could always be part of the conversation by connecting with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram with the details currently showing on your screen. You could watch us live on our website at www.tostvnetwork.com and also catch up on some of our amazing content on YouTube at TOS TV Network. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It is the big story of the conversation, and today's focus is going to be on the Twitter ban, a rare opportunity for the Nigerian ICT industry. The big question, what does the Nigerian ICT industry gain from the suspension of Twitter, the microblogging site, by the Nigerian government? And with us in the studio to discuss these issues is a politician as well as a tech expert, Mr. Adamu Garba. He is the CEO of IPI Group Limited and a former APC presidential candidate. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much.
Yes, so we'll go straight into it. First of all, you openly supported the government's suspension of Twitter. The question is why?
Yes, because Twitter somehow started to play into our local politics. Most of these big tech companies have this kind of they leverage on two opportunities. There is an economic opportunity and a political opportunity. Where they don't get one, they go for the other. So it's clear that Twitter is trying to leverage on a political opportunity in Nigeria, and albeit the toxic part of the political opportunity that is capable of breaking down law and order. So in this case, I think they should be suspended for now until they try to review their own policies as it affects Nigerian political terrain.
Let's go on a quick break, and when we get back, we'll continue with the conversation.
You're welcome back. So I was saying we've had entrepreneurs, we've had entertainers come out to say this ban has had a big multiple effect on their businesses. Now the question is, what opportunities does the ban have for the Nigerian tech industry?
The tech, as I started saying earlier, the tech industry has a very big opportunity, trying to show you that these big techs, provided they are coming from another country or maybe doing their own business in your country, their first target is what they can get as part of their interest, not your interest. So if you pack all your things and try to depend on another country's tech platform, it means when they choose on their own to say they don't want to do business in Nigeria, does that mean that's the end of your business? So our tech people should pay serious attention in building their own technology ecosystem that can compete or compete with that big tech company. So to me, this is a very big opportunity. And you saw very clearly, we leverage on this opportunity very well when this happened, when we start introducing COWI application, although it's been on store since before the outcome. But we began to say, look guys, we also have our own. So we should not just depend exclusively on the foreign big techs.
Okay, so I want to ask a follow-up. So first of all, countries like India, for example, has also followed in the footsteps of Nigeria. You know, countries have gradually begun to say, you're doing too much. Your interference in the affairs and the activities of politics in the countries has become so much that it is no longer, you know, the clamor for freedom of information and freedom of expression. You know, for example, we have companies like Google, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, who have been operating, you know, freely in the economic space of these countries for a very, very long time. They've not been paying tax. They've been making money in the billions of dollars, by the way, you know, and they've not been adding value financially, as a matter of fact. And for this long, you know, governments have always looked at them as a means of communication rather than a business entity that should be taxed and should be bringing revenue into the government, you know, of these individual countries. So the question is, these countries or has the continents of the world begun to understand, you know, the dividends and what is to be made from social media and instant messaging applications?
Yes, your summary was very right. When it came, not just the government, but the people felt like it is like an ecosystem where we can just participate and play, connect, share, collaborate, and co and co. But these guys, first and foremost, are profit making and highly organized capitalist settings. And their own kind of capitalism is surveillance capitalism. We survey you, we pick information, and then we profit from it. And because of the nature of the operation, the model is completely in variance with the current economic model that the world is operating. Most of the economic principles that work in the 20th century doesn't apply to them. You can have maybe law of diminishing returns. They can tell you their own is law of increasing returns. You can have like let's say your asset in your company, you know, within your own organization, but their own asset is outside the company. Now there are a lot of variants. They have a concave, you have a convex, you know, so there are a lot of variants of interest. So people cannot filter, are these really profit making or they are just evolution of technology? So eventually when they began to become so powerful, like Facebook with a capitalization of $936 billion, that is even 3 times the size of Nigeria's GDP, then it calls the question, why are you still operating in Nigeria, for instance, when you don't add no direct value to Nigerian economy? So this is where the problem is. And then so many countries, because of maybe some kind of policy misconception around how to handle the situation of social media, because even the United States, where they originated from, are still finding it very difficult to regulate them. Then they began to interfere into politics. As I said earlier, they took advantage, usually take advantage of 2 things, either economic opportunity or political opportunity. In the case of Twitter, for instance, where it is banned in Nigeria, they don't make money in Nigeria. They have about, I think, 40 million users with about 9 to 12 million active users month over month. And if you look at their net capital cash flow, I think is maybe $9 million, $10 million per annum, compared to Facebook that is making about $70 million in Nigeria. So now, what should they take? The best solution is political opportunity. Try to influence people's opinion, no matter how toxic it may be, to attract attention, because what you sell on platform business is actually attention. So now you are trying to attract attention by delegitimizing our conventional media and making you as the main voice for so-called freedom of expression. In tune, you get people's attention for you to be able to get some of your means. Maybe later you can convert them to economic opportunity. So that's exactly what they are doing. So in doing so, they are trying to destroy our country. Meanwhile, we are not benefiting nothing from them. Like if you check their decision to go and cite maybe headquarters in Africa, in Ghana. But when looking at this, you already know that these guys are just trying to repatriate profit and minimize their own risks to consumption, because Nigeria is actually the principal target. In the whole world, Twitter has 360 million users. Nigeria has 40 million users out of the 360 million. Nigeria is the third country that uses Twitter much more than any other country in the world. I think United States first, then Philippines, then Nigeria. So why will they not cite an office in Nigeria? Because they are trying to escape to maximize their profit. But so these are the things that we need to look at. So banning them makes a whole lot of sense, because it gives them opportunity to come to the window of regulation so that they can be able to register in Nigeria, hire Nigerian labor, pay Nigerian tax, in addition to all other big techs that are operating in our media space.
So do you think banning them would have been the right step, other than having a discussion before the ban? Because before now, we've had people who have complained that they have lost so much money. We've had people who have started small businesses. You know, unemployment has always been a thing in Nigeria. So we have people who are trying to fend for themselves, and they've come on our social media and they've said, look, this Twitter ban has not been good for them. And we've had people who have made serious money from Twitter. So do you think banning was the right approach?
I think banning is the best approach, not just the right approach. Why? Because if you look at what Twitter is trying to do, as I mentioned, political opportunity, they try to leverage on the toxic side of the politics of Nigeria. What is destructive is what gives me the more attention, is what gives me the more users, so that's what I can amplify. These things are algorithm-defined bots system that tries to amplify based on user perception what should attract the attention. So that's how they do to make their money. So you have toxic people like IPOB guys insulting, calling for blood, and Twitter is giving them the necessary attention, much more than the other side that they say no. And be that as we can say is freedom of expression, we run platform companies. We know that there is a way you can be able to run a bot to influence opinion. So that's exactly, if you look at the direction, that's what they are trying to do in Nigeria. And Nigeria is not the first inference. They have done the same thing in other countries. Like we've seen in Egypt, it was a social media revolution. Syria, it was the same thing. In fact, Libya, most of the revolution around bringing down Gaddafi started from social media. So they will start innocently under the guise of freedom of expression. But if the politics is what gives them what they want, they amplify it. So in the case of Twitter, it becomes a national emergency, where from amplifying evil and fault line that make Nigeria to be so divided, much more than how it ever been, and then at the same time even attacking the president tweets. You can imagine these things. Even though when you look at the tweets very clear, to the best of my knowledge and the knowledge of so many other people that disagree with the deletion, you can see clearly that the president is trying to say that, look, we had that experience of 30 months of war, we can never repeat it again. But they say that it's genocidal. When they ask them why, they say it's the report of the community. And based on what I know in platform technology, you don't take decisions because people are asking you to do so. You take decisions because it violates your rules. But if you look at it very clearly, even they cannot justify why they deleted it. Just at the end of the day, they were saying that because it was reported. Now, if it is reported, what are you trying to do? You are trying to go to the majority. What is the election? Election is majority win against the minority. So that means clearly you are trying to be a politician in Nigerian space. You don't operate in Nigeria. You don't employ labor in Nigeria. You don't pay tax in Nigeria. You don't do anything in Nigeria. Therefore, they should stay away pending when they regularize, in addition to other social media platforms. And usually there is a starting point, then Twitter became the starting point in this case.
Could you juxtapose this, your explanation, with the then president of US, of the United States of America, that's Donald Trump? They did not just delete his tweet. He was banned. That's correct. Yes. So the whole force that all of this activity is generating in Nigeria seems to be different when it came to the American government. Why is that?
Yeah, because Twitter cares more about America. When their president is supporting insurrectionists against their democracy, Twitter decided to say, look, get out from here. But in our own case, when our country is burning down, Twitter is busy verifying those people that are advocating for this burning down. You saw what happened in Lagos, the kind of destruction that took place. Billions of naira was wasted. In fact, there is a direct connection you know, between ShopRite leaving Nigeria and the looting that happened during NSAS. Because they lost so much money. People just they pieces their shops and park properties, so they don't have any option again. There is no business in Nigeria because the political risk is too high. So because of that, we have to just let Nigeria go. And that is their largest market in Africa. So you need to look at the kind of money that we lose as a result of that looting that took place, because Twitter decided to pass so many fake news that rose tension, that gave opportunity for hoodlums and criminals to turn otherwise a very peaceful and responsible protest into a criminal enterprise. So if should that be happening in America, you and I know what they will do. They will not just delete the tweets of those people that are trying to call for insurrection, they will ban them, like they did to the #1 man in their country. So it's clear double standard that we need to be able to understand. So that's why the best solution is for us to have our own platform that also cares for our interests, so that we will now be able to advocate what is good for us and try to make sure that we remove or maybe neutralize what is bad. The whole essence of establishment of platform is to have a governance model that be able to encourage good behavior and discourage bad behavior. So sometimes good behavior in your country could be bad behavior in another man's country. So that is exactly what these guys have done. So we should never allow this kind of thing to happen in the first place. That's why I think what they did to Donald Trump and what they do in Nigeria, it's clear indication of double standard, how they push their priorities.
All right, so now going forward, what do you make of the negotiation, the plans by the government to negotiate with the Twitter people on the common ground to come to a balance? What do you take of it?
Yes, I think it is a very good approach, even though I totally think the model of the approach can be technically faulty, but I think it's good.
Why do you say that?
I believe Nigeria is a sovereign country, and as a sovereign country, you should not be able to negotiate with a profit-making organization. You should have another profit-making organization in your country talking on your behalf. You know, you can't carry a country like Nigeria talking to Twitter. You know, this to me is somehow what even condescending to our sovereignty. We should have another entity like them or similar to them, or an entity that we hire or within the country that is a profit-making organization or the profit-making system or a legal firm or something to engage them.
That can bring funds for the country.
Exactly. Somebody outside the government should engage them. Because this is not about a government and Twitter. This is about Nigerian people and Twitter. And Twitter is a profit-making organization. If it would have been involving American government, maybe Twitter decided to come through the American government, then Nigerian government can involve. But Twitter, you know, trying to negotiate with the government, to the best of my knowledge, our government have condescended to Twitter's supremacy as an entity like government. And this, to me, brings about a crisis of model. So they should have look at another body outside the government to be able to discuss with Twitter about Twitter's interest in Nigeria and then communicate back to government.
Okay. I think that's the much we could take on the conversation this morning. Unfortunately, we've had such a very beautiful conversation and a beautiful discourse, but we've run out of time. Thank you so much for coming on the conversation this morning.
We do hope that we'll have more of these conversations with you in future.
Exactly.
No problem. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much to our viewers. Thank you for staying tuned to the conversation showing on your digital first Pan-African news network. Do not forget, you can always be a part of our social media community by following us across all our social media platforms that is displayed on your screen. That is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course you can live stream all of our content on our website www.TOSTVNetwork.com. And if you have not subscribed to our YouTube page, please do so you do not miss out on our amazing content. My name is Merciful Ajinomo.
And I am Sagir Ibrahim. Thank you so much for watching.